So we're just going to keep building this landing page website from scratch. This is the third video in the series, so hopefully today we can at least finish the hero and maybe get started on some of the main content. So that's kind of the goal for tonight. But yeah, thanks for joining in. Hope everyone's had a good Monday so far. So let's just kind of review what we've done so far and kind of what we want to work on today. So we got this top nav here. We got our hero started. We need to do all the responsive styles for that. And then we got this white triangle that I was kind of messing with last time. I think I've gotten that going all right. So what we want to do right now is do the responsive design using flexbox for the desktop and mobile designs, or desktop and mobile versions rather. Because you can see in the mobile design, we have the image is on the top, it's first, and then the text is on the bottom. And then on desktop, the text is first, it's on the left, and then the image is on the right. So I think there's actually a couple ways we could do this, but what I'm planning on doing is using a flexbox property called order that you can use to responsively change the order of things, which is super helpful because before this existed, in order to change the order for things, we had to either do it dynamically with JavaScript, like moving elements around in the DOM, or we had to create like duplicate markup basically, which was kind of a pain. But yeah, thanks for joining in. Cool. So let us start doing that. Maybe I'll zoom in a little bit here so you can see stuff a bit easier. I have to make sure I'm not covering up the code stuff with the chat box and stuff. Here we go. Okay, let's go to the markup. Here's the hero section here, which we'll be working with right now. So you can see here I have the image of the hero image, and then the text is in this section down here. So let's see. What we want is to open up the SAS file for the hero. That's hero.scss. And the hero image styles are here, and the hero text styles are right below it. And the hero section, the parent element has a display of flex. So that's what kind of makes this use flexbox. So, cool. What happened? Sorry, this is all rather new to me, so it sounds like a slot machine. Let's see. I'll try not to get distracted by that anymore. Okay, so the parent element, the hero element, has display flex, and then that means that each of the child elements, which is hero image and hero text, are sort of flexed using flexbox. So we want to add the order property to each of the children elements, and let me just show you a very helpful link for that. This is CSS Tricks, and they have this complete guide to flexbox, which is like extremely helpful because it not only explains what each of the properties are, but it also has these nice little sort of graphical illustrations, so you can really understand what what they all do. So, oh, thank you. This is Pac-Man for following. So what we're going to do is we want to look down on properties for the children, because that's what we want to change. And here is the order property. So it's pretty like, I guess it's pretty intuitive, which Flexbox tends to be, which is great. And you can simply say order and set it to whatever number you want in order to affect the order. So you can see here, you can even use negative numbers. I'm not sure why you'd want to use that, but you know, it will automatically order the items in the order that you've done. So let's try that. So let's refer back to the designs. So on mobile, we're writing our styles mobile first. So on mobile, we want the image to be first and the text second. So on the hero image, I'm going to say order will be, we'll just start at 1. Maybe we should start at 0, but I'm just going to start at 1. And then for the hero text, we'll say order is 2. Save that. And so this is sort of what it would look like on mobile. You know, you can see things will be stacked. Okay, and it looks like the order property did take. So we see the hero image is order 1, hero text is order 2. And if we go out to desktop width, the image is still first because we haven't added any more styles for desktop yet. So what we want to do is, let me show you the media queries that I've created. Right now I just did a media query for 1,000 pixels and up. So I'm going to use that to have a different order for these hero elements for desktop. So write our media query, MQ-1000-up. And then we're going to change the order, so the image, it was 1 on mobile, we'll now change that to 2 on desktop. And then we're going to do the same thing, add a media query for the hero text, and we'll change that order to 1. Okay, let's see how this looks. Okay, cool. So we can see now on the desktop width, the image is on the right, which is how it is in the design. Obviously things are not quite sized correctly, but we will fix that later. Right now what we just want to do is kind of create the structure around, I try to take care of like functional structural things first and then sort of fine tune them later on. So right now my main focus is making sure the order is right. Then after that's done, we can go back and we can make sure the font sizes are correct and the image sizes are correct and all that good stuff. So right now let's just test. The hero's on the right on desktop, and if we go to mobile, it does look like it goes to the beginning. So that is great. Cool. Now let's, what I'm going to do now is I think size and make sure the font sizes are correct, and then I'm going to add some extra space at the bottom because it looks like there's not enough here, but we will worry about that later. So let's go back to mobile. I'm just going to estimate the size of this image because I just got the free JPEG designs from frontendmentor.io. You can also, I guess, buy sketch designs from them for $5, which I think is honestly kind of cheap because sketch files will just give you a lot more data for things like font sizes and, you know, things like colors. They'll probably have hex color data as well as, you know, image sizes and just layout stuff. But, you know, you can definitely get by just kind of estimating things with a JPEG or a PNG. Okay, so on mobile, it looks like using my very accurate method in IrfanView, the image is about 200 by 200. So right now, I believe I already had it set to width of 200, and that's what we want from mobile, which is good. Let's look at desktop. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit there. Desktop image is obviously bigger. Just trying to get right to the edge of this image here. Okay, it looks like it's double, so it's like maybe 426 pixels wide. So we'll do that. This is the hero image. So in the desktop media query that we have, we'll just change that width to, what was it? 426, roughly. Oh yeah, this is Pac-Man. Yes, margin and padding are also other things that the sketch file will give you, which is usually helpful to have. Like if you're designing something for work, excuse me, from a sketch file or like an Adobe file, in a workplace setting, you will most likely get like a file from the designer. So you really in a workplace setting wouldn't ever have to like actually build a website from a JPEG or something. But I'm sure it's happened. So okay, we've changed the width for desktop, and let's see, make sure that's working. Okay, cool. Now you can see right away that even at smaller desktop widths, stuff it's stacking too quickly, and I don't really want it to do that. Yeah, so it's like, that's not really what we want. So I might need to try to make this image a bit more responsive. So right now I said the width is a static 426. I think what I also might need to do is adjust the width of the hero text area, because I think all this on one line is longer than what the design has. Yeah, so here this is says about 612 pixels wide and about 400, what was it, 426 we said. So it's about a ratio of 3 to 2. So what we could do is try to use flexbox to set those widths. And what I mean by that is we'll use the flex property on the child elements to kind of make sure the widths are the ratio that we want in relation to each other. Because right now, I think by default, it will just give half of the width to one child and half of the width to the other. And it'll sort of intelligently like figure out the width and positioning things. But we're going to kind of manually set what we want it to be. So what was it? The text was about a ratio of 3 to 2. Was that right? Yeah, 2 to 3. So what we can do is add flex, or I think we need to do flex 3 and flex 2 for the hero image. Let's see if that works. Actually, I want that to be in the desktop, because on mobile, it doesn't really matter. Okay, cool. So we can see now that the hero image is, what is it, 450, and then the text is 675, which is good. And I think what we actually want to do is, I think we can do it either with a max width. Yeah, so we can set a max width, or if you want to, I think you can say, 426. Oh, that doesn't look like it worked. Oh, because it says it can grow. Okay, I think we will just use the max width property. Okay, so max width is 426 for that. Okay. So you can see now, because I added the flex property of 2, the image is sort of responsively, getting smaller when the width gets smaller, which is good. I feel like this is 583. So the width of the hero text is 583, and I think it was like 600 something. So, I mean, it's close enough. And like when you have a responsive website, the widths are like obviously going to change from what the design has, because the design is just showing how the website will look at a specific width. But I feel like this text feels a little bit long, and I think there needs to be some space between the image and the text too. So you can see here, there is 202. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to add some padding to the text, the hero text element. Also, this is the text and the button are left aligned, so I think right now it's centered for some reason. Maybe because it's centered for mobile. Okay, so let's change that text alignment on the hero text. We want it to be center aligned for mobile, but then on desktop we want it to be left aligned. I'll just move this to the bottom because it's just how I sort of try to order my CSS properties from going from like structure to sort of more detailed styles. Oh, flex spaces and percentages. Okay, yeah, I think that's another way that you can do that. Cool. So now it's left aligned on, the hero text is left aligned on desktop and centered in mobile. Now we will add some, I think I'm going to add some right padding to this, because at certain widths you don't want them to be like right next to each other based on the design. So let's see, I'm just testing it in the browser. Padding right of, let's try 10%. So you can see here, that seems pretty good. Let's do 10%. And then depending how the words break, it'll be closer or farther away from the image. Actually, we just want that padding right on the desktop styles for the hero text. Cool. All right, so now we can see there's some right padding. So even when we change the width, it's not going to be right next to the image. Let's see what else we got. So this design right now is at 100%. Oops. And looks like the font size is a lot bigger than what I have. So let's see, this looks like it is 34 or maybe 32 pixels tall. So yeah, right now it looks like it's 24, so it needs to be bigger. What's 32? Let's say, is that right? 28. Oh, 16 times 2 is 32, so it's 2 rems, because 1 rem is 16. Cool, so we'll just change hero text H1 to 2 rem for desktop. Cool. Okay, now it's 32. Let's just make sure that looks the same. Okay, looks like the line height needs to be changed as well. There's more space between the lines on the design. So I'm just gonna like sort of try to eyeball this. For some reason the text, I don't know if it's an optical illusion, but the text here still seems smaller, even though technically it's the same, it's right. Let's try 2.25 rems. I feel like that looks a bit closer. 2.25 rems. So it's 36 pixel font size now. Let's change the line height. Right now the line height, I'm not sure what, I think it's just 1 right now, so let's try, 2 is way too much. I don't know if this is right, but what I usually use for line height is just a number without a unit. I don't know if it, maybe it is the same as EMs, but it just means 1.5 times the font size. So that seems fairly close to the design, right? maybe a little bit less. Let's try 1.3. Maybe 1.4. I'm splitting hairs here. Oh, I think there might be some letter spacing too. Nah, I don't think so. No. I still think the font size is bigger on the design. Yeah, I feel like 2.5 rems actually seems closer. So we'll just change that. 2.5 rems and 1.4 for the line height. Line height is 1.4. Is that what we said? Yeah. Cool. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining. And I know that I think Monday nights probably more people are busy than on the weekends. But you know, this will just be for this week, and I should still be streaming again this upcoming Saturday. So let's see. That looks nice. Although this is 2 lines here and it's kind of broken onto 3 already. It's probably because of the padding that I added. On really wide widths, you can see, look, the text is going all the way across like that, which we don't want. So I'm going to add a max width property so it won't do that, and it'll just kind of automatically wrap the text. So right now the hero text is about 781. Let's just test a max width of 750. That seems pretty good. So we're going to add that to the desktop styles for hero text. Oops. Hero text, desktop styles. All right, cool. And I think we might need to vertically align these elements as well. Yeah, sorry. I'm always going to be a little bit behind on the chat, so I will try my best to catch that stuff. But I don't seem to get any notifications when someone leaves a chat message. So I apologize in advance. But I was thinking, I think the image and the text need to also be kind of vertically centered with each other. I think that's how the design has it. Yeah, so it looks like here's the text, and if we extend it out, oops, here's the text, and it looks like it's maybe a little bit above the halfway point of the image, but regardless, it's not all the way to the top like it is here. So we should be able to do that with another flex box related property. Align items. Let's try center. So that is centered. So it looks like the bottom of the green button kind of aligns with the bottom of that green jacket, which isn't too bad. I might actually just add a negative margin to the hero text to bump it up a tiny little bit. So margin top, we'll just say negative 20 pixels. Let's see how that looks. Let's try a little more. Yeah, that's quite a bit. Negative 5 rems. And this will just be for desktop, of course. Yeah, that seems better. I like to put my margin properties before padding. Oh, why is the clip path starting to flatten out as you widen the width of the wrapper? That's something we probably need to fix because I'm coding this triangle. Oops. Here in the features section. So there's this div called features triangle. And there's a pseudo element called before. Let me just show it to you guys really quick. So you can see that I made the pseudo element by skewing, using transform rotate and skew and some translates to make like what's a rectangle into kind of like a sort of diamond shaped thing. So you can see at this width, it's kind of going below the flat part of the white part. But when you go like that, then it won't. So we're probably just going to have to fix that a bit. I'm pretty sure I'm not doing this like the best way possible, but maybe I can just bump it up a little bit with translate Y. Oops. Let's try negative 34. Oh, wrong way. Let's try 34. I'm not sure what shortcut you mean. Do you mean for the transform properties or? See, I don't want the other edge to get out either. That seems okay. It's pretty inexact. But, okay, so that was in the features section. Oh yeah, great. Well, let's do that right after I finish the hero. Oh, I must have, there must be a setting in Twitch that I need to change. I think maybe links aren't allowed or something. Okay, I think this negative padding thing is backfiring. Or negative margin, I mean. Let's see. That's weird. Nothing's really aren't aligning. Oh, I forgot to save the align items on the header. Okay, we'll go back to that features triangle in a little bit. Okay, clip path maker. Yeah, I just haven't done very much in shapes, I guess, in web development, so it's definitely something I need to learn better. But yeah, thanks for the I guess description of the link that I can look up on Google. But yeah, clip path maker, or like if you have an SVG, I feel like that would also work. But I guess I was trying to make it responsively. But anyway, let's align items center. There we go. That's better. Okay. So yeah, don't look at the triangle thing. Just let's look at the hero. That seems okay. Actually, what width is this? 1042. I might just create another media query for like large screens. Let's say 1200 and up. So I'm going to add that negative margin top on a separate media query because I think it's too much for when you're around 1,000 pixels. So this media query means that this big negative margin that we added will only get added when you get to 1200 and wider. So, okay, that looks pretty good. It looks relatively centered, right? Yeah, so you can see here now we have this negative margin of -5 rems after we hit 1200. I think that looks good. I'm happy with that. The space between the text and the button seems okay. It seems okay. I think the button is not matching the design. Let's see. Yeah, look, this is way bigger than what we have. Let's get the font size correct first. Okay, right now the font size is 14.4. So let's try font size 1 rem, which is 16. 1.5, that seems like too much. Let's try 1.25 rems. Okay. That seems pretty close. So hero button, the button in the hero, we're gonna make it font size of 1.25 rems. So hero button, font size, 1.25 rems. And we definitely need to change the padding because this is, yeah. What do we have the padding on right now? 60 on the left and right and 15 on top. So this on the desktop, the left and right padding is about 70. And then it looks like what would the top padding be? The vertical padding, 28. So what did we say? 70, let's say 25 on the top and bottom. And then for left and right, it's about, oh, actually it's 94, I'm sorry. Yeah, 94 and 25. So we'll just add those styles to over here. And that might have been actually for the mobile styles. So I'm going to add this new bigger padding for just desktop styles because otherwise it'll be too big for mobile. So it was top and bottom padding is 25, left and right padding is 94. Let's see how that looks. Nice. Looks like it's too tall maybe? So the actual button size in the design for desktop, is, I love using this little outline tool. It's so exact. I'm pretty sure if any of the designers that I work with or have ever worked with saw me doing it like this, they would scream because they like things to be pixel perfect, which, I can't blame them. So the width of this button is 320 and the height is 74. So let's try to match that as much as we can. So this one, the width is 298 and then 74 for the height. Actually, the height's pretty good. The height was perfect, but the width needs to be 320. So we're just gonna let's see. Why is this not working? Oh, okay, it is working. 310, 320. I feel like my font size is small, not big enough also. Let's try 1.5 rems. I think that is a little bit closer. So it looks like our button is too tall now. It's 79 pixels tall. So it's supposed to be 74. 71, 73. Let's just do a nice round number, 75. And 332 is the width, and it should be 320, I believe. So there we go. 23 pixels on top and bottom padding and 94 pixels on left and right. So I guess it just changed 2 pixels, but then we changed the font size. Okay, that looks pretty good, right? That's pretty close to the design. I feel like the button I have is a bit tall still, but it is because it's 75 as opposed to whatever that was. So maybe we'll just take this down to 22. Why not? So instead of 23 pixels on top and bottom, it's 22. Cool. Man, I just find it very satisfying to build websites and make them match the design. I don't really have any design skills, so I just get to make the designs that other people make, but I like it. Okay, so this is what I do a lot to check the responsive styles and just make sure everything looks okay, whether it's on desktop or mobile. So right now I'm sort of checking the alignment between the text area and the image and see how that changes. So it looks fine on big desktop widths, but here it's breaking the 3 lines, so it's a bit, things are a bit different than the design, which they're never going to match the design exactly because, it has to be responsive. And I haven't yet seen a design for a website that is like an actual responsive design. It's always like a static thing, and me as a developer, I have to sort of just try to make things look okay. So right now, this is when this is not great looking. I think it's because that negative margin is gone at this width. Yeah, so here's a negative margin. Here's where it's gone. So we might need that negative margin for a while longer. So the negative margin was in the hero text element. Here we go, 1200 and up. I guess I thought I would only need it for the tall widths, but I think I might have to make another media query, but let's just test it on the 1000 pixels and up. Yeah, the feel we get when we're matched with the design is heaven. I agree. Okay. So yeah, we got the margin top at -5 rems here too. Okay, that's I think passable. And then here is, what width is this? This is at 970. Oops, I think I changed some stuff around, but 970. I think that is narrower than an iPad in landscape mode. So let's just see. I like using this emulator tool that browsers have nowadays. Okay, so this is iPad portrait mode. Let's flip it and look at it in landscape. Oops. Yeah, it's 1024 on the long side of the iPad. So, okay. I think it's okay. This part is a bit weird because it's next to each other and then it's stacked. Why is that doing that? The order 1, this is using mobile styles. I'm just curious why it's doing this. If it's a little wider, then it's the image is on the right and the text on the left. Then it gets a bit smaller. So this is where the order changes. Okay. Actually, sorry guys. Laying things out in CSS can be one of the trickiest parts of front-end development. Even though I've been doing this for quite a few years, there's always moments where I'm like, why is this not working? And then I have to do a lot of Googling. Like at work today, I was working on this form, and for the life of me, I couldn't figure out why this text box on a form had this weird like highlight around it when I was hovering over it or when I was focused on it. And it turned out it's because I was using Firefox, and Firefox uses a different, I think, placeholder property. And then it turned out that like I just had to override some other styles that I'd done. So sometimes things can get a bit convoluted. I don't know. I'm not overly worried about this because it still sort of looks okay, and I don't think very many people, like no one does this with like changing the width of your browser to test unless you actually work on a team that's making a website and you're trying to test everything. Because if you are loading this with an iPad, it looks okay. Obviously we need to add space at the bottom, but I think I'm not going to stress about this. I do kind of want to sort of limit the width that this text can go on mobile, because if you remember, we added a max width of 750, but on mobile, you know, this is a bit wider than I'd like it to be, even though it's less than 750. So we just need to add another, I think, breakpoint for the mobile styles. So max width, let's just say 500. Let's see how that looks. See, that looks a lot better. Yeah. So hero text max width of 500 pixels for mobile and tablet. Let's do it here. Cool. Okay, so I think we're almost done with this hero thing. That looks pretty good. Okay, so now we want to add this extra space at the bottom. So on desktop, there's about, to the top of that triangle from the bottom of that image is about 60 pixels. And then on mobile, below the button to the top of the triangle is 78. So there's actually more bottom space on the mobile version. So we'll add this bottom space and then we'll like fix this weird triangle thing here. But yeah, we'll just hide that for now. So you could do this a couple different ways. Looks like I do have bottom padding already. Yeah, padding 100 pixels, 75 pixels on the bottom. If I increase the padding, will that add more space? Yes, it will. But it looks like, that's interesting. Because I think the next thing down, the features thing is, yeah, so it's like going all the way down and then the features div starts right there. So that's kind of what, that's kind of like why when I highlight over here, it seems like there's the bottom padding is going down below the triangle. Yeah. Yeah, Google does a lot of annoying things with forms that I don't like the, it'll like save your, it'll save like form field values and stuff like that. And you can't control it just with the website. It's like a browser setting or something. But anyway, let's see. Bottom padding for the hero, 75 seems kind of like a lot. Let's try, or 175 rather. 105 is not enough. Let's try 150. That seems, oh, I think I need to add some more mobile styles for the button. The text looks like it's okay, but this button's too big for mobile. Let me just do that really quick. I must have added the button styles for everything. The font size 1.5 rems. Is that what this is? Okay, the font size of the button is 24 pixels, which is, I think, 1.5 because it's 16 plus 8. Yeah, 24. So we're going to move the 1.5 rems down to here. And then for mobile, let's try 1 rem, see how that looks. Okay, it looks better. That's a tiny little bit bigger than the design. Let's try to take down a little bit more. Let's try 0.8. Might be too small. Yeah, that's too small. Let's do 0.9. That's pretty good. Okay, cool. Let us add that padding that we were going to add. So what was it, 150 maybe? Okay, that's good enough for me. We might need to tweak it because I don't really like how it's like going into the triangle like that, but can't really do anything about that right now. So let's add that bottom padding to the hero image, hero element. So bottom padding is 150. Cool. Let's see how that looks responsively. That's pretty good. Cool. Hey guys, look, we made a hero, a responsive hero. Woo! Nice. Okay. So the next thing we want to do is fix this triangle thingy. So that's in the features. Sorry, I'm just like so curious why this is going into the triangle. Oh, it's because, okay, it's because here, I'll show you. This thing, the white part is actually being pushed up. But honestly, like, I mean, this looks pretty okay. But I don't know why I have to skew things, honestly. Okay. We have some time. Let's just try to play around with this. So we're going to add a red border to the element so we can sort of see what we're doing, which is my favorite thing to do when I'm like laying out CSS elements. Okay. I'm going to try to see if I can make this shape without using skew. Because I feel like if I just have a rectangle and then rotate it, then that will make like the triangle shape, right? So let's just test this in the browser first, of course. Okay, so yeah, it's so weird. I'll just make the skew 0 and then try to change the rotating. See, look, this is a triangle. I just need to adjust the width. Width is 30. Let's try making it 100. Oops. Wait a minute. Oh, it's probably because it's rotated. Interesting. Oh, I may need to add an overflow hidden for the overflow Y property. But yeah, it looks like it's working. I don't know. I'm not sure why the skew is necessary. I just don't know. How wide does this really need to be? Uh-oh. Am I breaking stuff? Oh, why is this happening? I'm just curious what's making it trying to scroll. Let me just try hiding this for a second. That's not what it is. Huh. Do I have the correct... Yeah, I think that's right. Width is device width. Well, Weird. Is it the nav? No. Okay, I'm not going to worry about it. Where were we? Features triangle. Here we go. Display. Now we'll display. See, I mean, this is kind of crazy, but you know, it's still like the same. Looks like it's the same angle. Yeah, it's the same angle. So I don't know why that skew thing was necessary, but who cares? I'm sure it's necessary for like other things. So X is up and down because it's been rotated. I'm just gonna, hold on. Rotate 0, skew 0. Translate X, let's make that 0 as well. I'm just gonna start from scratch and just try to build this myself. So width right now is 34. And I guess padding bottom is what's giving it height. So let's just do a little more reasonable thing here. I'm just trying to figure out if I can make this triangle in like a more like intuitive way. That's not so crazy. So we're gonna add a little bit extra width because of when you make the diagonal, it's going to be shorter than what you have. So let's start rotating it. Oops. Okay. What's roughly the angle of this triangle? That seems about accurate, maybe a little bit more steep. Yeah, we don't want it to be like too crazy. Okay, looks like a good angle, and now we'll just scoot it up a little bit. Okay, and I don't think it needs to be this tall. If we need to make it taller for desktop, we can add that in the media query. So we'll scoot it to the left a little bit, scoot it up a little bit, and that looks good right now. Let's see how it looks on different widths. Yeah, you can make an empty div with a width of 100%, height 100%. Okay, yeah. I might have to just look at the clip path thing separately just because I haven't done it before and I don't really want to waste people's time. But I'm sure clip paths are like a good solution because I've heard about those before. But right now, let's just try to make this work, which I think looks pretty good. Okay, so you can see it starting to break a little bit when we hit, where is that? This is 837 pixels wide. So, you know, I think I'm okay with that. But for mobile, it seems pretty good. I was trying to make it not quite so tall. There. That seems kind of steep, don't you think? It's roughly the same. It just seems steep to me, I guess. Okay, this is good. So it's breaking at 1100 now. So before I forget and delete all this accidentally, let's just copy this, the transform property and the other properties as well. So this is in the features triangle. Features because it's the next section. So I added the white triangle in this features block, which I just made up that name. But let's replace that transform with what we got and don't save because then it'll delete everything and I'll be sad. Padding bottom is 27 and width is 120. 27 and 120. See, things are so much better when you actually understand what's going on. Because when I originally pasted in all that CSS for the triangle, I didn't quite understand what it was. I just found it online somewhere. And that's why it had like the skew and the rotate and everything. But now that I sort of get the principle of how how to build the triangle, then I can kind of try to make the code better, or like, not as bloaty, and just sort of add the properties that I need. So looks pretty good. Okay, let's fix that. So we'll start, I think what I should have done is I'm going to start from the smaller widths and then make it look good on that, and then sort of keep fixing it with the media queries for the greater widths. So let's fix this. We're just going to move that shape down a little bit. Okay, so translate y is -12%. Here, let's just make this bigger, or put it more on screen. Okay, good. No one's going to have this width. It's like too small, but let's just make sure we test what it looks like on a mobile device. Okay, great. That looks great. Don't worry about that. We'll fix that as we add the styles. I think that might actually be a little too much space under the green button, right? Maybe a tad too much. Where was that? That was in the hero, I believe. Yeah, so padding bottom, let's see, 120. That's pretty good. So for the hero, we're changing the bottom padding from 150 to 120. And then we'll probably have to add some media queries later on. Cool. This is going pretty good. I think this will be probably the last thing that I build for this stream, just because the past 2 streams I ended up doing it for 2 hours and I was just like completely exhausted at the end of it. So we'll try to stick to an hour for today's stream. But we'll see what happens also like on the weekend, because when I'm not working, I might be able to do it for longer. So anyway, let's see. So now let's see where this starts breaking. And this is kind of what people mean when they talk about mobile first, because you start with the mobile styles, make sure everything looks good there, and then you sort of increase the width of the device to emulate, tablet and desktop, and then you can add your media queries as you go along to make it look good on those widths without breaking or affecting the mobile styles. So let's see where this starts breaking. Okay, so you can see here, this flat part starts showing up. Here we go. So that's at what? About 549. So we'll add a media query for, maybe around 540. And this is another thing that I do. Like, I think a lot of people, maybe when they're learning responsive design, they feel like they have to make a separate set of media queries with like min width and max width for every single possible device out there. And that kind of you end up having like, who knows how many different media queries and different breakpoints. But you can just add the breakpoints that you need for the styles that you're doing. So like I'm going to add a breakpoint for around 540 pixels wide, even though there's no actual device there, because that's when the design breaks. So every different part of the website will just have, it could have different media queries. So that's kind of how I do it. I do try to use variables for my media queries, just because I tend to reuse them. And usually if you have like a general range of different widths for your breakpoints, you can use them for the most part for like any given scenario. But I'm just kind of creating them as I need to. So I'm not creating a whole range just from the get-go. But anyway, let's see. Okay, so features triangle before. We're going to do that thing again where I add a red border. And I might as well just start adding, because I know that I want that media query for 540. So here's one for 540 and up. And then we'll just add the CSS that we need to later, once we sort of figure this thing out. So when we see this flat part showing up, we probably want to bump the triangle up a little bit. And we may also need to add padding, bottom padding, to the hero like we did a few minutes ago. So let's bump that triangle up. I'm going to try to hit it about halfway through the shape so that it'll sort of last longer. Let's see how far it goes up. Okay. So about there is, I think, about half. So -31 for the translate y. -31. Remember that. -31. -31. And then we'll add that bottom padding because we'll increase the bottom padding. Let's try 40. Maybe a little bit more, 150. Look, it's all guesswork, guys.